So I kept watching the veneer and seeing the grade and how it was being cut. And pretty soon the guy that was clipping had a huge clipper. And this veneer is coming fast, man. It's coming 100 feet a minute, you know, just it's flying, man. And you have to be able to see the knife and see the veneer, read the grade, and cut it into that.
Wow.
So the other fellow that was running the clipper said, hey, we got to be pretty good friends. He says, look, why don't you come up and clip for an hour, and I'll pull green chain. He says, I need the exercise. And I said, I need the rest. So we went up there, and I started clipping. And I got really good at it.
So that was your your start.
Yeah.
So relating to
You know, I worked there for quite a few years, and
and you started to raise a family.
14.
yeah, 14 years.
14 years.
Yeah.
So you were having
And-
children during
Oh,
this
we
time?
have 5.
At that time?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have 5 children.
Yeah, we got-
adopted 2,
We adopted 2,
and you had 3.
and we had 3 of our own.
Okay.
And
So I'm trying to hook up now with the next, and all this time, Lorna has no idea about you and
Yogananda.
Yogananda.
none.
She asked you one time on a date if you were.
An Indian. And I told her, yeah, I'm an Indian.
That she
I
thought
mean,
you were
I didn't go
an
into
Apache, right?
I didn't. So she thinks I'm an American Indian.
Right.
And
you put that behind, and that's
it.
You don't want to bring it up. or
I
anything.
set it behind me, and I don't want to have anything more to do with it. And I didn't.
So then one day, your daughter,
And then Peggy
your oldest daughter,
and this girl Patty's into it, and she's really into it, and
into SRF.
yeah.
This
And,
was like 1972.
yeah, it's right about that era.
Uh-huh.
And so Peggy wanted to join. She wanted to join this religion, you know. And so her and Patty came down to tell Lorna and me that Peggy wanted to be initiated into SRF. And so I'm down at the shop, and down they come, and they have this book, and I walk in, and I'm really busy, and Lorna says, well, you know, come here, and Peggy wants to join this religion. And I said, and I'm tickled to death because I want to see her have religion, you know, whatever it is, you know. And I said, well, sure, you know, great. And then Patty says, this is what it is. And this is the first time I seen autobiography. And I seen his picture, and I just went, oh my God. You know, here we are again. How did this happen? You know, how did this happen? We're miles away, years later, and he's back in my life. And I couldn't believe it, you know. I'm so far away, so removed, and I just couldn't believe it. And so Lorna knew.
What were you feeling?
Huh?
What were you feeling? Mad, sad, glad?
Embarrassment.
Embarrassment.
I was, you know, like I say.
Nobody knew about this. This
Nobody.
was your secret.
Yeah, this is, nobody knows, you know. My old friend Roy knows, but he's not here,
Right.
you know. And so Lorna knows something's up, and she kind of put 2 and 2 together, looked at the picture, and I looked more like him then than I do now. Of course, I'm an old guy now. But yeah, and then so they left, and Lorna come back, and she knew something was up, and I didn't want to, you know, I'm in a spot. I'm in a tight spot here, man. Yeah, and so it went like that, and everybody knew something was up instantly, you know. All the kids are going, wow, what's going on here, man? What's up, you know? And so I finally told Lorna. She come down and questioned me, and had that book, and was thumbing through it, you know, and I wasn't familiar with it at all, you know. I'd never seen it, and so I finally copped to her. I says, well, you know, this is what it is, you know. I'm a little bastard, and he's my dad. You know, now what do we do? Yeah. So
How did she feel about that then?
she didn't know how to. She didn't know what to think. You know, she was kind of upset that I'd never mentioned it, and that I had kind of lied to her, because I don't do that. And she was upset, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, it took her a little time to digest it. It took me quite a bit of time to digest it, and yeah, it was not a pleasant moment, not a good time, you know. But Peggy did go, and she was initiated, and got into it pretty heavy, you know, for a long time, and then everybody moved on, you know. We dropped it, forgot about it. It will never be back again. I mean, there's, you know, no
Right.
problem.
So then when's the next time that it pops in?
Okay, Lorna got breast cancer, and I got pneumonia a whole bunch of times. You know, I'm building engines
Right.
and working on these, and and working in solvent tanks, cleaning parts and getting ready to put them back together, and so on. And I got pneumonia. It was chemical pneumonia. Well, I got pneumonia several times right in a row, man, 2 or 3 times, you know. And I mean, I was really beat down, real bad. And the doctor told me, he says, you're not going to be able to go back to work for a while. That's just all there is to it, want to or not. And boy, I was so weak, and I just was really having a hard time. I mean, I just couldn't make a day of work, man. I mean, this pneumonia just shredded me, you know. I mean, it was like I just got dropped in a shredder, you know. And so Peggy, you know, we're both having trouble, and Peggy went, you know, I'm going to call the SRF and tell them, hey, you know, they ought to get up here and do something about this, you know. So she did, and she's a pretty strong-willed girl, and she gave them an earful, you know. As his son's up here and he's sick, and so's his wife, and you know, we need to do something here. Well, they just passed it off, you know. Get out of here, you know. And so I didn't hear much again, a long time, you know, until this kid was over in Ashland, and he went where Asia is. You know, Asia was living in Ashland with her mother and
Your
grandmother.
Granddaughter, Asia?
My granddaughter Asia.
Uh-huh.
And so this other fellow had a little girl that was over playing with Asia, and he walked over to get his little girl and go. So when he walked in the house, Grandma Jerry has a picture on the refrigerator, one of those stick-on jobs, and he says, "Oh, you must be a devotee, huh?" And she said, "Oh no, that's my children's grandfather." And he said, "What? I don't think so."
He was a devotee.
Yeah, his mother was.
Oh, okay.
And he said, "No, I don't think so. That's not the case." And so Jerry says, "Well, if you want to meet him, I'm going over there right now. I'll take you over there." You know, so he came over and went, "Wow," you know, and he leaves and calls his mother and tells her, "Hey, you'll never believe I just met Yogananda's son." And she said, "Well, I don't think so, you know." And he says, "No, it's for real." And so that's when his mother calls Patricia, and Patricia calls Ron Russell. And that's when Ron Russell come into the picture.
And Ron Russell was the reporter
the reporter.
for the LA Times.
Right on. And so Ron Russell calls up here and wants to talk to me.
Right.
And I said, "No, I don't think so." I told Lorna I don't want to talk to him. And so she talks to him for a little while and hangs up. The next day he's back on the phone a couple of times. And telling her, "Hey, I want the story." He says, "I'm going to do a story." But I still wouldn't talk to him. I said, I don't want to get off into this,
right.
you know. And so finally he told Lorna that he was going to write the story regardless, and that if it would be better if I talked to him and told him what the story was. And so I said, "Okay, I'll talk to him." And that's when he came out with the article in the New Times LA. But I left one part out here, and that's the part when Peggy called. That's when Flynn come into the picture.
The attorney?
Yeah, and he called Lorna and asked her if I would be willing to change my name. And Lorna said, "Well, I have no idea. You'd have to talk to him." Well,
So Flynn is who?
Huh?
Flynn is who?
The lawyer,
For?
SRF.
And he wanted you to change your name to what?
Ghosh.
Ghosh. Why would he want you to?
So they wanted to move Yogananda from Forest Lawn to Mount Washington. And if I would sign the paper, they could open the crypt and take him to Mount Washington.
Because you would be the son.
I would be the son. I would be the next of kin. And so
They didn't mind having that out?
well,
They wouldn't have minded?
Flynn kind of blew it. He opened his mouth way too soon, and he obviously went back and told Dia, and Dia told him, "That's a stupid move." You know, you can't do that, you know. So then he came up here, and we sat down and we talked for 3 or 4 hours, you know. And
You told him the story?
Yeah, and Flynn said, "Well, yeah, it's been corroborated that Adelaide has taken all these photographs and done all of these things and was here and blah, blah, blah. But Yogananda has never, ever been alone with a woman. Ever. It just doesn't happen, you know." And of course, you know, we go, "Yeah, well, man, you know." And you know, so I told Flynn, you know, we got all through talking, and I said, "Now, what do you think? I mean, you know the story." I says, "Now, what do you think?" And he says, "It isn't a matter of what I think. I'm a lawyer." And I just went, "Oh, okay." And he was showing me all his bangles and beads and all kinds of crap, you know, and his bracelet, and he had another stone bracelet up around his arm, and